Hi guys, so in this last video I'm going to show you how to create the final graph for part 2, which is a scatter graph. Now you only need to do this for one of your sports, and we're going to, so in this example I'll do my AFL made up numbers, and I'm going to compare the heights and the weights of the players. So what I'm going to do here first of all is just select those two columns, but only for that one sport. And then if I click on insert for my charts, you'll see down the bottom there's one called a scatter XY graph. So if we click on that, I'm just going to go to the first response, first option there that just has dots on it. And what that will graph, if we have a look at it, is all of the different players, and it will graph their height on the x-axis against their weight on the y-axis. And what we're interested in here is if there's correlation between the two. So we're basically looking at, do taller players generally weigh more as well? It's a little bit hard to see on this graph because the y-axis starts at 0. So I'm just going to change that. If you right hand click on those numbers and go to Format Axes, what we're going to do is just change the minimum. You can see here the lowest value is 80, so I'm going to change the minimum to, say, 70 and hit enter. And then we can see what's going on a little bit more easily. If I just close out of that, the other thing I'm going to do, as always, is add in my axes titles. Very important. So we do need to label those with what they are, and also the units of measurement, so the height in centimeters, and up here is the weight in kilograms. And then the last thing I'm going to do, so if we look at this, as the height increases, you can see that in general, the taller players tend to weigh a little bit more. But we want to see if that's mathematically correct. So I'm going to right click on those dots and click on Add Trendline. I believe you can also click on the plus sign here and then tick the box that says Trendline. And what that'll do is it will add a straight line to your to the middle of all of those dots. So it will fit that line to go as close to the middle of all of those dots as possible. And the last thing we can do, if we just right click on the line, the trend line, and go to Format Trendline, I'll just move my face. If we go all the way down the bottom, there's a tick box that says display R² value on chart. And that actually gives us an idea of how good the fit is between the line and the dots. So if that R² value is equal to 1, that means that all of the dots are exactly on the straight line. If it's less than 1, it means there's a little bit of scatter, or the dots are not quite on the line. In this case, it's 0.87, which means there's a pretty good correlation. What that means is that 87% of the variation in weight can be explained by the variation in height. So that tells us there is a relationship and that taller players generally weigh more. You may find though that when you do this process, your R² value is very low. That would just mean that the two things that you've investigated are not related to each other. And that's what you can talk about in your report. Okay, thanks for watching.